Hi everyone, thanks for joining us for today's Trash Puppets Workshop, proudly presented as part of Foreverfest. Today we are going to be making a butterfly puppet out of trash. So let's get started. Now we have sent you a list of the materials that you need, so I hope you've got them all together. It's alright if you don't. Make sure that whatever you find is exciting and colourful, maybe it's textural, anything that's exciting in your trash is going to make for a good puppet. Now me, on the other hand, I had really boring trash this week. All I could find was this box, a cereal box. So I'm going to make the puppet out of that. Bear with me while I do some cutting. Alright, so what you will need: scissors, tape. We always use masking tape, but we'll talk about that in a minute. I'm going to use 3 paddle pop sticks for my rods, but we'll talk about those later on as well. A pen. You might need a pen. I'll show you why. Now, other materials, you'll need 2 big floppy flexible pieces to make our wings. So make these as colourful as you can find. You might be able to use 1 piece folded over if you like. Some long skinny strips. And then lots of shorter strips like these. And I might need to cut some more of those as we go. So, where shall we start? Let's make the spine. So these long bits, these are going to make the spine of our puppet. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to fold this one over to make it a little bit more rigid. Depending on the material that you've used, you might not need to do this, but what you want is a nice stiff piece to sit in the middle of your puppet. Now I'm going to fold this one over on top just to make sure it's going to stay together. But you want a nice, stiff, rigid piece in the middle for everything to be attached to. So this, even though butterflies don't have a spine, we're going to call this the spine of our puppet. Now I'm just going to tape the ends of that together so that it sticks. Bit of tape. Now I said before, I'll talk about why we use masking tape. You might be like, oh, but gaffer tape would be so much stickier. Oh, but glue looks nicer. The nice thing about masking tape is that much like the rest of this puppet, it can be recycled because it's made out of paper. So it can go straight in your recycling bin as is when you're finished with it, and any leftovers that you have can go in there as well. The other cool thing is that, again, like this cardboard, biodegradable. Do you know what biodegradable means? Biodegradable means that if we were to chuck this in our garden or in our compost bin, it's going to break down and become part of the soil. So there we have our nice, stiff, rigid spine. So to our spine, we're going to attach some loops. So rather than making a big solid body for our puppet, we're actually going to fashion the body out of little loops of cardboard. So we get a nice strip like this. And all we're going to do is loop it over on top of itself, like so. Can you see that? And then I'll tape it together. Grab my tape. There we go. Oh, I should probably put the colourful bit on the outside, shouldn't I? That would make sense. So nice and colourful on the outside, showing off our beautiful pink plumage to the world. And there we go. So that is one of our loops. Now that's one of my bigger loops, so I'm going to put that right in the middle for my wings to attach to. I've got another one here somewhere. That looks like it. So I'll quickly whip up another one of those, remembering pink on the outside for this one. Fantastic. 2 loops for the body. Now we'll make some more of those later on. Now in terms of attaching these, they're going to sit over the body of my puppet like this. So can you see there? That's pretty much how the body is going to be formed, just continuous loops like this. I'm going to stick these two together like this. Hop. Just there. And I'll tape them on. Now when I'm taping these ones, there's a couple of different ways depending on the kind of look that you're going for. You can tape them inside the loops. It's a bit fiddly though, and my fingers are quite thick and clumsy. So I'm just going to go straight over the back like this. So I'll tape it stuck together. So I will tape like this across the top, making sure that my body parts are facing the right direction. One across there, and all the way down there across the spine, and that way they'll stay right where we need them to be. Perfect. Now I'll get to the rest of the body later, because right now, having attached those two there, it's probably a good time for us to start on our wings. Okay, now we've got either 2 pieces or 1 big piece of a nice flexible and beautiful looking material. This beautiful pink box in my case. So, what we're going to do, you might be able to freehand cut this if you're pretty tricky. I'm not very tricky, so I'm going to draw a picture of what I'm going to cut first of all. Here we go. So, pen on here, just give me a second, I'll draw it. Where did I go? So this is the kind of shape that we're going to draw, something like that. It's got a little bit of a tab here to attach to the puppet, to the rest of the body, down here. And then the rest, right there is where I'm going to fold, and the rest can flap like a wing. Now, if you've got a super flexible material, still cut a similar sort of shape to this, but I'll show you something later on that might help your wings to flap. Now we've got this, we're going to cut it out. I'm going to be extra tricky, and rather than cut it out twice, I'm going to put my 2 pieces of card over the top of one another, like this, and cut them both out at the same time. Scissors! Ha! Now it's important to remember, if you want a particular colour on one side of your puppet, or if your material looks different on either side, make sure that when you're cutting them, your material is facing the right way. Because if I were to have both of these pieces of card with the pink coloured section facing the same way, well then one of my wings is going to go on backwards, and that's going to look a bit silly, isn't it? I'd have pink facing up on one side and pink facing down on the other. So we'll try and avoid that. You might notice on one of my other puppets that I'll show you later on that I failed to do that. But that's alright. Sometimes we can do that intentionally. You know, if one side of this was blue and the other side was pink, you could have a pink wing and a blue wing, and they could switch around depending on which side of the puppet you are looking at, top or bottom. So, all cut. And now we have these beautiful butterfly wings. Now, like I said before, I'm going to get a little closer to the camera now. Like I said before, this tab here is going to attach to our puppet. So it's actually also the hinge from which our wing is going to flap. So we need to fold that bit down, like so. And it's easier to do before we put the puppet together. So we make sure that we've got a nice, floppy, flexible hinge. I'll do the same on this side. Beautiful. Now to attach this, I'm just going to stick it down on either side. Grab the tape. Now if you've made your tape too big, like I have, you can just rip it just a little bit to help the bits that you want to stick down. Now, I haven't put quite enough tape on, so I'm going to stick down the underside as well. One side done, let's put it down on the other side. There we go. Some beautiful flapping action on my coming together butterfly. All right. Now, I said we'd move on to the body. I'm just going to do one more thing before we get there. Because the body is going to take a little bit of time, and I think we'll speed through that a little. Now, we've cut lots of strips of different shapes and sizes. We're going to use some of those strips to attach our rods. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to get some appropriately sized strips. They don't need to be very big. Even something like this might do, cut into 3. Ready? 3? There we go. Because what we need is another folded piece of card. So what's going to happen is we're going to attach our folded piece of card on the top of the wing or underneath the wing, depending on your puppet. And then we're going to attach this rod to the other side like so. Let me show you. So there we have our flap of card to attach there. And then we get our rod, bit more tape, and the rod will sit just in there, like this. Hold on a sec. Go, one side done. And that's how I'm going to control it. We'll do the same on the other side. voila! We have 2 rods for flapping. Oh, now you might, like me, have put them in slightly the wrong place for this task, but that's okay. And that's how those are going to work. Right, now we'll add 1 more rod underneath. Similarly, we're going to grab our strip of card, fold it in half, and attach to the puppet and to the rod. Here we go. It's going to go right on there. So now we have pretty much the mechanics all done. Now, if you haven't typed it down hard enough, or if you don't like the position, you can always change it. The other good thing about masking tape is that you can move things around. Oh yeah, I might move those later on. Now this body looks a little bit small, so I'm going to make some more rings and attach them on here. Give me a moment. And then, once you've got these beautiful rings, darling, it's just a matter of attaching them to your puppet wherever you think they should go. Now you might want to taper the body so it goes fatter in the middle and then gets skinnier towards either end, or maybe you want a skinny middle and fat either end, entirely up to you. But we're going to attach them now, same way as with this, just with some tape over the top. And with a bit of sticking down and cleaning up, you will have your beautiful butterfly puppet. Now at this point, you may want to add some extra decorations. Hey, maybe chuck some spots on there, something of a different colour. You may also want to add some other things that a butterfly might have. Here's one that I prepared earlier. This is using some more vibrant colours, some floppier materials, and I've also added some beautiful eyes, a nice proboscis or nose, and I've even got some antennae on there. Now, because I've used such flappy material for the wings, I decided to add some cardboard wings underneath, just for a bit of added structure and rigidity. So maybe if you're using floppier materials, you might need to add something like that. Now, this design of puppet doesn't actually have to be a butterfly. It could be anything that flies. You could make an owl, you could make a dragonfly, you could make an eagle, or you could, like I did before, make yourself a dragon. This is my skeletal dragon. Rather than a solid wing, I've gone for some bones, and I've built all of those sections, same as you did before. But thank you so much for coming to play with us today. You can make as many of these puppets as you want, but that's all from me, so bye for now. Bye!